Good morning, Jason.
Hello, Mr. Michael Patrick Cortez.
Got to keep it professional with the middle name. So, how's your day
MPC?
going? MPC. It just rhymes, right?
Uh-huh. Yeah.
It has a nice flow to it,
It does.
There are a lot of Michael Cortezes in the world, so small way to differentiate myself. There's a famous actor out there, and can't mix me and him up. So got to put some respect over here.
Uh-huh. Got to put some respect on your name is what needs to happen.
That's right. That's right. How are you?
I'm good. Busy week so far as usual. I'm excited to jump into the presentation after a couple minutes here, let people sprinkle in. But yeah, I'm good. How are you doing?
Oh, feeling good. Yeah, really excited to obviously AI, content production, workflows, and prompting and all that fun stuff is a hot topic. So it's gonna be a fun one. But yeah, welcome everyone. We're gonna get kicked off in just a couple minutes here. Extremely excited to have y'all here with us. And yeah, we'll probably get started about 10:04, 10:05. What are you thinking?
I think 10:04 is just fine.
Great. Yeah, so just a few minutes here, and we'll get things kicked off. While we're waiting, don't be shy. Feel free to drop where you're from in the chat, or just say hello. We always love to see where everybody's joining us from.
I saw it was raining this morning. I was so excited. And I checked the weather, and I'm like, what? It's going to be sunny today? We got another, I was up at 5 this morning, so I was just outside enjoying that.
We started to set up last weekend like it was summertime. We're getting the backyard ready and getting things in the front yard, and I woke up today and everything's wet, and I'm just like, oh.
Yeah, I know. It's supposed to be 80 degrees here, I think, on Thursday.
Yeah, no, I saw that it's the sun is coming, Jason. I know the rain will not be here forever, which makes me sad.
Yeah.
But good weather is heading our way eventually here.
Indeed.
80 is crazy. It's supposed to be 80 today.
Not today.
Or later. Okay, later this week.
Yeah. But the sun's coming out this afternoon.
I'm looking forward to that. I don't like this gloomy weather. Hey, Kyle, thanks for joining us. Hey, Aubrey, welcome. Rainy PNW. I think we both feel that. Excited to have everyone here. Like I mentioned before, what was that?
I was just going to mention, if you're on YouTube and could like the stream, I'd really appreciate that. It helps us get more visibility for this event, but you don't have to.
Hey, great call out. And yeah, please follow us for future webinars.
Follow, subscribe.
Do all the things. Hit that button below. Awesome. Bringing that energy, Jason. We gotta getting the good vibes.
Want more from Michael Patrick Cortez and Jason Wright? Then please subscribe, and follow on all channels.
I think we're gonna cut this up into some shorts or something. This is just going.
Well.
This is going. 10:04 time check. How are you feeling for where we're at right now, time-wise?
Yeah, let's get started.
Things kicked off. Awesome. Great. Welcome, everyone, to Behind the Curtain, Evolving Content Production and Pillar Strategies. I am Michael Patrick Cortez, your host for today. Extremely excited to have everyone here. If you've ever felt overwhelmed by the chaos of content creation, or if your team's workflows feel more reactive than strategic, you're in the right place. Just FYI. Today, we're going to be diving into how content production has evolved, what that means for your strategy going forward. Whether you're a marketer, content strategist, small business owner, the session's designed for you today to give you real tools, real actionable insights that you can start using right now. We are joined today by Jason Wright. Round of applause. Partner, president, and director of creative. Over here at Webfor. Jason's been on the front lines of content marketing, digital marketing, and just the whole SEO scene for many, many years. extremely experienced, knowledgeable expert in this space. So very excited to have him share his insights and how to help brands scale, working smarter, not harder. And he's going to walk us through a few things like a modern framework for content production, how to scale using a content pillar strategy, and more. Really excited. We will have a live Q&A at the end, so feel free to drop your questions in the chat. And with that, Jason, I think I'm going to hand it over to you. Thank you, and excited for the presentation.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. And shout out to your cat in the background, lending their voice.
I was worried. Perfect timing.
Yeah,
right?
always, right? It's always when you start talking. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Thank you, Thor. Let me get this shared back up. And here we go.
All right, perfect. I think everyone can see that just fine. If you can see that, let us know in the chat. Thanks, Derek, for the comment. I appreciate it on LinkedIn. I'll keep an eye on chat here and there as I'm going through the presentation. And just to give you all a heads up, this is not everything. There is so much that goes into content production and content strategy. It's way too much for one presentation. I was telling Michael earlier that this could easily be 3, 4, 5 parts because there's analytics, there's research, there's all kinds of aspects that play into things. Today, we're going to stay more high level. We're going to look at a handful of tools, but we're mostly going to talk about systems and process. So when we think about generating strategies for our clients, generating strategies for your business, we think about processes and systems that are going to make the work a little bit easier to execute over time, maybe at a higher level and higher output and higher value. But there's a lot of nuance to this stuff. So strap in. I know some of the subject matter in here is going to be a little sensitive, but stay with me. So first, a little bit about me, and I'll keep it brief. 2-time graduate from Clark College in Vancouver, Washington. Started in the industry about 17 plus years ago at an agency in Vancouver, Washington. Been with Webfor for about 11 years or so. Married, have a puppy and a kitty, which was a stray kitty, which is now our kitty, and it's a long story. But I'm surrounded by a wonderful group of people, and special shout out to the content team for their patience and understanding as we consistently evolve process internally and with our clients at large. So today we've got a couple key areas we're going to talk about. We're going to review what pillar content is. We're going to talk about technology a little bit. And then we'll look at some content production workflows, which kind of ties into a demo and a real simple sheet to help you get started. And if we have time, we'll do some Q&A. Careful on your questions, y'all. I don't know all the things, but I've got a great team of people who can answer some of the questions offline. All right, so analysts are predicting that AI will automate 95% of what agency professionals do today. And that's kind of crazy. I mean, that might be true, but we're also leaning very heavily into AI tools, so much so that I think there would be some correction and some balance over time. Regulatory commissions could change things very quickly. How data management and privacy laws come into play down the road could impact things. But one thing's true, AI is here. It has been here for a long time, just used in different ways and not as mainstream as it is now. Even talking with clients today, they're discussing and asking questions about how AI is being leveraged or how they can go and do certain tasks. Unfortunately, there's a lot of misinformation out there about how to use AI. And at the end of the day, humans still do a significant portion of the work. So we're going to talk about AI and prompt engineering as it relates to content production and some of those different aspects. As of 2024, and I'm sure this number has grown, 61% of agencies are leveraging AI tools. So I'm just going to say it again, 61% of agencies are leveraging AI tools already. Now, if you're in this presentation thinking like this is new to you, you've not really played in this space, what's crazy is in the agency world, we have to move quickly and adapt quickly because technology changes. tools change, everything changes so rapidly. Even the devices we wear, we use to interact, they change so rapidly that we have to be on the cutting edge of the tech that's being used today. The reason why agencies are using AI tools is because it helps create more value and impact and reduce friction. But using AI tools still requires a lot of understanding about the subject matter and what you're doing. It still takes people to leverage the tools in the appropriate ways. And when you do that, you can increase output, across your whole team. So let's talk about pillar content. This might be new for you. It might not be new for you, but we'll just dive in here. Basically, pillar content is the highest grade of media you can produce, whether it's video, audio, or video audio together, blogs, etc. So what that means is if you've got a webinar like we're doing right now, that is the ultimate form of content, which you can pare down in a bunch of ways, which we'll get into. Using SEO data and like customer metrics can help you figure out what your pillar content should be. So this might be, webinar on SEO. It might be a long form video about development practices. It might be some other material, but that's essentially a piece of content that can be broken down into smaller parts. And to give you a little bit of an example here, this is a chart breaking this down. This is a sloppy, non-polished chart that I just had on hand, but it's a great example of what I'm talking about. So I don't know if you'll be able to, yeah, you can see my mouse. So here you might have your top pillar content piece. So it could be video. And that video can be broken down into so many different components, right? It can be other audio snippets, smaller audio clips paired with Instagram posts. It could be longer audio clips. It could be a podcast episode. They could be short videos, whether it's 1 minute, 2 minute, 3 minute, 30 seconds, so on and so forth, right? It could be converted into text. So that's a whole range of things. Could turn into service page content, blog content, email blasts, social media posts. I mean, there's so many opportunities. And I think what happens when, as marketers, we produce content, we don't always think about all the ways that content can be used. We put a lot of energy towards producing a singular piece of content for a site or several pieces for a site, but we don't always take the next step based off of various restrictions and whatnot of paring that down even more. If you think about it, every content piece has the opportunity to be pulled through a system. And you might hear me talk about systems a lot, and that's because I want you to be in the mindset. This is about systems and process flow and understanding that once you understand how to leverage these tools, the system applies in a lot of different ways. So that's pillar content. It's about taking something and pulling it through a system to generate content at scale for many different platforms. Now, as far as technology goes, there's a lot of different tools, right? There's a lot out there. Maybe you know this, maybe you don't. It's only some of them listed on the right, but there's many of them. These tools currently are only as good as the engineer. And what I mean by that is, in most cases, for these more complex tools, there's setup, there's configuration, there's tonal configuration, there's templates, there's branding, there's all kinds of things that you need to establish in order to get the system working properly. When you do that, the content output will be fairly solid. However, this is an interesting game that we're in the agency world and in the business operations world, because you can't simply put in a prompt, have a whole system generate everything for you, and copy paste somewhere. This really does require a deep understanding of what the goal is and executing against that goal, while also considering all the best practices that factor into producing content for SEO, or at the end of the day, the real audience, the user. We always want to write for users first, and that gets tricky. So sure, you can go through a templated process of establishing one of these tools. Maybe it's Jasper or Copy AI or some of these others. You can create a workflow where you have templated structures for all content that gets produced. You can produce that at scale, but then unfortunately what you have is a boilerplate of just sort of like the same stuff. It's the same cookies with the chocolate chips in a few different spots, but we need a little bit more than that when we're producing content. So the human aspect of this is really important to working with these systems and making sure that the content getting produced is sufficient for users and search and so on. I pulled this quote, and actually, if this person's here, they'll know that I stole it from them, but I didn't want to call them out here. I didn't want to put them on the spot, but AI saves time, but only serves to create more inhumane expectations on our productivity. It's an interesting quote. And I sat with this for a while because I'm like, well, I see the perspective. I get it. I also see that statement as a little over emotional, but understandably so. Here's the thing. We can leverage tools to do the same work in less time, which means you're just doing other tasks with that time. The challenge we have as operators and owners and whatnot is to ensure that we still have quality as a value above all things. Quantity is important, but at the end of the day, the quality of the work that gets completed is critical. If AI can be used in a way, specifically in this case for content production, to help us write more content, to put that email blast together, there's nothing wrong with that. It actually allows us more time to sandbox and understand and play, meaning we'll have more time to look at performance metrics, create more strategy, create more ways that we can leverage pillar content, and so on and so forth. Before I get any further, I'm sure most of you have heard this language by now, probably understand this, but just to share, prompt engineer is both a role and a skill set. I think you're already seeing prompt engineer roles out there in the world. To be successful at prompting requires that you understand what it is you need. So you have to know how to ask for it. If you're a developer, you need to know how to ask for an htaccess file that contains certain things. Developer is going to know that. Your layman's person who's busy putting in roofs every day isn't going to understand all of those things. Some folks are more hands-on and they do, but it's a case-by-case basis. So there's a couple tools that I just wanted to touch on. There's ChatGPT, super popular. I'm sure you've heard of this one. It's very versatile, easy to use, lots of ways to use it to answer questions, to create login instructions, to create content. I mean, it just goes on and on and on and on. Just asking for a specific stat, it is really incredible. The challenge is there's not so much workflow management in here right now, at least not that I'm seeing, but I'm sure it's coming because everything that you can add to your software is going to increase your ability to charge more and charge for tokens, word count, all kinds of stuff, which they're already doing, and a lot of these platforms are doing. But it's very good at generating scripts and code snippets, all kinds of stuff. So if you haven't checked it out, you should for sure play with it. Jasper AI is another popular content production tool. There's brand templates and things in there. There's a lot of similarity in terms of being able to prompt for different things from like ChatGPT. However, Jasper is content production focused, content workflow focused. At a surface level, that sounds pretty good, and it is. However, there's a lot of pay gates and things that you've got to consider, like brand templates and other things that start taking up your space. And so, you're going to be charged quite a bit if you're at an agency trying to use this tool. If you are a local plumber, you might be able to subscribe to this and generate stuff. But again, understand that you cannot just simply create these tools, prompt them, copy, paste. I will repeat this repeatedly throughout the presentation. The reason why you can't do that is because the AI might be lying to you. Like the stat might not be exactly correct. It might be referencing a site that you don't trust. There's all kinds of things. There's potential for plagiarizing exact quotes, statements, paragraphs. So there's a lot of considerations to have when you're going through this process. One more tool I'll emphasize is Copy AI. We're looking at this right now just from exploratory like everybody else. Also manages workflow, has ways that you can connect different tools together, but essentially allows you to create workflows that have content templates and things like that, similar to Jasper AI. There's a little bit more complexity here. And again, there's a lot of pay gates in terms of how much you can use the software, how much you can establish for brand tone and things like that. So as we get into some of the content production sections of this presentation, we'll focus mostly on using ChatGPT because it's the most accessible platform to folks right now, at least in my opinion. There's a couple things I want to highlight here. Don't publish without editing. Okay? That should go without saying. Don't publish without editing. You got to edit. You got to do stuff. You still got to do things, right? Don't skip originality checks. You have to check the stats. You've got to check for things. Make sure that you're not stealing. There's some plagiarism tools that you can run. They're okay, but just be mindful that content you produce in AI does need to be rewritten, restructured, and should be essentially used as a rough draft. Don't ignore best practices. That should go without saying. Don't assume it's correct. I touched on that. And don't mass publish without strategy. I hear this a lot where clients will say, I can handle that. I'll just take this and go put it in this thing, and then I'll have it all, and so I'll have that by Friday. No, don't do that. Don't do that. Don't take a 100-page or 100-row spreadsheet with content topics, run it through a tool, and then upload to your site tomorrow. That is a great way to stagnate your results. You have to do things in a healthy, natural, non-obstructive way that's going to get you on Google's radar in terms of like trying to play or game the system. Google's algorithm is smart. It's not always that smart, but it is intelligent enough to know when you're trying to make things up, or you're trying to force something that shouldn't be there. Essentially, because what they're recognizing is that you don't care about the value, right? And by mass publishing 100 pieces tomorrow, you're communicating that you don't care, that you just want to get keywords. Don't do that. It's not a healthy way to do things. I thought this was a great bullet point, which was AI is an incredible starting point, but it's just a rough draft. It's not final, right? Easy and fast isn't always right. Sometimes you still got to do hard things. And you got to consider the responsibility you have, either as a business owner or a marketer. You carry significant responsibility, and you do not want your activities to negatively impact the businesses that work with you or your business directly, because those negative impacts are real and can happen. All right, let's talk about content production. So we're going to tie in ChatGPT with the content pillar process and just go through some examples here. Again, we're talking about systems. We're talking about efficiency. I mean, when we talk about systems and processes, we're really talking about efficiency and effectivity. We're talking about value, impact, all those sort of things. So we're going to use ChatGPT. I believe I'm using 4.0 in this example, but in a later example, we're using 4.5 because I have a subscription going just so I can show you a few things. Although I might get blocked because I've been using it a lot lately. We'll find out live together. It'll be fun. So again, we want to look at systems, understand that in our initial scenario, we can copy paste all kinds of things, but when you go to deployment, you don't want to do that. So let's run through this. So there's this webinar I put on. It was how to improve your website performance with SEO. So I just opened this up in YouTube. I didn't know where the transcript was. It took me longer to find that than to go through the whole process here. But I found the transcript. You can see that I just highlighted it over here, right? Copy and pasted right into ChatGPT. Okay. I got a little prompt in here. It says, turn this transcript into a blog post. Include at least 3 relevant stats and you can read the rest. Okay, so I'm just pasting that in here. And this is how you can use media that you're producing to generate all kinds of other things. So I put that in, just copy, paste, enter, and then ChatGPT is putting this together. Right? It's running through it. It's creating the content. You can see this is the beginning of this GIF. There's this giant, nasty, grammatically incorrect, totally messed up transcript. It still gets it figured out. Now, the output isn't completely solid. There are some problems with it. That's why me explaining that editing and going back and reviewing the work is so important. Overall, though, that took 67 seconds for ChatGPT to do. Okay, taking that 1 hour transcript, turning it into a blog post, 67 seconds. And that's incredible. Now, on the flip side, I know that can be hard to hear because you're eliminating some folks in that process. However, that's just the copy paste. Now you need to spend time making it better. And it's just a rough draft. So we got to make it better. We've got to have maybe some better headlines. We need to source images. We need to review stats. We need to add context and spaces based off of the webinar. But this is a pretty solid start. And we're not done. Okay, there's a lot we can do here. So let's keep going through this process and break things down a little bit more. So now we say, use this generated blog post to create a minimum of 25 social posts. Should be a mix of long form, short form, can be used for a variety of channels, right? Interesting sidebar about prompting. And what you will find is you care a lot less about grammatical errors, spacing, title casing, all that stuff, because it just knows. It just knows what you want. So if you see typos, you can call them out if you want. You can call them out. But I'm just going, right? I'm going at speed. So we're using this prompt in the same thread, and we get results in about 90 seconds. So that's the time it took for ChatGPT to generate 25 social posts. It also added a bonus at the end. It's like, hey, would you like 10 more posts specifically for Instagram, Reels, and Stories? You want some ideas? These things are, and I believe Kevin mentioned this in his book, we're on that plane of having AI assistants with us daily to execute work on a regular basis. So ChatGPT went out and did its thing, generated 25 social posts. I do have the document I can share with you later. I put this all in one Google Doc so you can just take a look. Now, again, it doesn't mean you can just copy, paste, but the nice part of what all of this is doing is it's reducing some of the creative blocks that might prevent you from just starting, which is really great if you've got one of those minds that has a hard time just starting. These sorts of things can really, really help you. Now, obviously with social posts, you can't just have a text post. I mean, you might on LinkedIn, but if you're on a visual platform like Instagram and others, you're going to have a graphic and things like that. But there's tools that support that too. Now, one more thing we did here, and I skipped ahead on accident, but we're just going to do an email blast. Take all the above information, so social posts, blog post, transcript, and create a strong email blast to go out in May 2025. So cool, runs through the system, creates the email blast, gives me a header, body, here's the content for it. It looks great. It looks great, short, sweet, to the point. It actually, there's some formatting issues in that, but that's none of my concern because the post has to get formatted inside of a mail platform anyway, right? But on top of this, lower on the screen, it generated subject line options. So we can look at which one maybe we want to use, had a suggestion for CTA, and some closing elements. Now, again, this is an email blast that's getting generated in here. It still needs work, right? We can't just send it out. It also needs all the visual assets and all the things that come with it. But again, in leveraging all of those tools in about 5 minutes, we had a long form blog post, 25 social posts, and an email blast in 5 minutes. Now, those 5 minutes are going to turn into many hours as experts in different areas manage those pieces. But it really helps in getting the creative juices flowing and get you on the path of producing really great content for a various range of platforms, from social to email and whatever else that might be out there you want to use. So from a system standpoint, we have the idea. Everything starts with the idea, and how you get that idea depends on the situation. It might be an idea from a client, might be an idea from keyword research, might be an idea you have as a business owner. But thinking about that idea and how it can play a part in being a pillar content piece that can be used in lots of different ways. In some cases, if you're a business owner and you're well-versed, obviously, in your industry, and you are more than willing to share your insights on a regular basis, but you can't be sitting there typing. Like you're never going to type, right? You're on the road, or you're on the phone, or you're texting someone. I know how it is. Like, you're texting someone and it's full of grammatical errors because you're going from the lunch meeting to this meeting to driving over here. It's can be chaos, right? But when you're on the road, you can record an audio clip, and then you can take that audio clip, run it through a transcription service. Now you have a transcript, and now you have a pillar piece as a result, right? You have the audio converted to transcript, which then can be pulled right through this system: blog, social, email. Now, I'm not saying you have to do all these things, but this is just an example. And over time, and sorry, I really want to draw, but I can't draw on here. Over time, you'll have enough content that you can start repurposing. So maybe you're several years in and you've got lots of blogs, lots of materials, just lots of different things to share, right? And you've got them on your site. Well, then you can go back through and start looking at the 3 blog posts about your plumbing service that's similar, and now combine them to be one very useful long-form content piece. And you can leverage AI to support some of that effort, right? Along the way, though, okay, remember, you gotta edit, you gotta review, you gotta polish, you still gotta go through your approval channels to get this stuff out the door. And it does take a little bit of time. Now, this might feel in some ways alarming or overwhelming. I get it. It can be like tough to see how much these tools can take over and manage, but at the end of the day, it will be okay, because engineers and, as you see, my typo experts will still be needed to support the effort in execution, because someone's still got to edit, someone's still got to publish, someone's still got to get approval, send things around, do revisions, take a post down, schedule posts. There is so much that is required, and that execution piece will be a hard piece to automate in the near term. There's also the whole strategy component, right? Humans are really great at developing strategies, and now you can leverage some of these tools to generate even more effective strategies. So by now, it should, make a lot more sense in terms of what pillar content can do for you, how it can be broken down into a lot of different ways. The possibilities are endless. You can use a tool like Opus Clips to take a 1-hour webinar to generate reels. But here's the thing. You still got to edit the reels. Now, it's going to take much less time than before in terms of having a video production person edit reels, but it's still going to take hours and hours of time. You have to watch every reel. You've got to trim them down. You can cut out filler words. You can change the style of overlaid text. There are many components to this, right? You have to download the video, upload it somewhere, get approval. Once it's approved, upload to the social channels in different dashboards, potentially, schedule them differently. It's a lot. And a lot of that can't be automated right now. Some of the repetitive tasks can be, but it still takes a lot of effort. So just understand, it still takes a lot of time. There's a lot of things that go into stuff. I mean, even just publishing content to a site, we see it all the time that a blog isn't quite well structured enough to just copy and paste a blog post in and put images. There's all kinds of things that play into the effectivity of this process. And it's still going to take plenty of resources and effort to complete the full execution of this from start to finish. More complex tools are coming. There's some out there right now. They are extremely expensive, very hard to get configured to initially. So we'll see how things evolve over time. We'll see where some of these platforms evolve. It'll be interesting to see how ChatGPT evolves over time to be a even more comprehensive platform. But it is exciting because it creates more freedom for teams. It actually creates more support opportunities between team members, and all of these different tools. I mean, they let you do so many things. There's headline writing, there's all kinds of stuff, and that can all be tied to the analytics side, which is, did this headline drive more clicks or sales? That's a whole component we're not even touching on today. It's huge. There's a lot that goes into things. It's not just simply writing for the sake of writing or producing a headline for the sake of producing a headline. You need to be able to test, measure, monitor, repeat, revise. It's a whole cycle, right? All right, let's talk about bulk content production. And this is just a brief demo. I'll share this here in just a second. I've got a resource I've made. It's a real simple spreadsheet. There'll be a link on the next slide. I'm happy to share that out in different ways or whatnot. Just let us know. We'll probably put it in the meetup that a lot of folks are in, possibly on LinkedIn and some other spots. But I'll keep it up on my screen here for a couple minutes. So the intention with this next section is to show you how you can automate some of your production. But there's still a lot of repetitive tasks, and I know some of my team members, maybe like Michael and the content team, would be like, oh, Jason, you don't need to do this. You could actually just sign up for this, connect this with this and this with that. I know. There are a lot of folks, though, who may not be able to set up a bunch of different software tools and whatnot. So this is meant to be an entry way of understanding how you can organize things without being subscribed to tons and tons and tons of different platforms. So I'll leave this up on my screen. All that's in here is a spreadsheet with page topic, keywords, and a couple other columns like the prompt and word count, stuff like that. So the way that this is configured is that we'll have a page topic we can put in, and we'll do this in just a second. We have whether or not it's been created. This is just a way of keeping track, whether or not you had it produced, and then the document link. You always want to save this stuff. You got to be highly organized when you're producing copy. And then keyword targeting, keyword 1, 2, 3, the word count target for that page, and then the prompt that I've generated in here for this activity. Up at the top, we have URL, so you want to put in the URL of your site or the site that you want to take a look at. Put in tone, so professional, calm, or silly and fun, or cheeky and incorrect. I don't know. You could put all kinds of things in there, right? And then with this prompt, which I'll give you another minute or so to copy this down. This prompt is one that I keep tweaking, and I tweak it based off of the ongoing results that I've been receiving. So at a high level, there's probably been about 4 to 6 hours put into revising this prompt because I'm producing content, seeing what the output looks like, changing it, running a few different documents through or a few different prompts through again, see what the output looks like, and rinse and repeat. So let's just take a look, and I'll just show you how this works. Hopefully I didn't mess up anything. Okay, I didn't. So let's just go over here. This is the sheet. Let's grab, what should we grab? Let's grab roofing. Roofing, Vancouver, Washington. I'm just going to pick somebody. I'm sorry if you're here. Let's do Cherry Roofing. That's fine. Let's go to their site. Okay, we're just going to take that URL. We're going to put it here. Professional, we'll do professional, relaxed, and we'll say maybe like, and some emotion. Now that's not a proper English sentence, right? But I don't care. I know ChatGPT is going to figure it out. So in here, let's do roof repairs the topic. Let's do keyword as, let's do roofing repair. Let's do, what do we think? New roof repair. And let's do residential roof repair. Now, when you have access to this, you can just make a copy and you can change the prompt. I'll just show you here. I'll open this up. This is the prompt here. And I keep tailoring this, but in here it's using concatenate function. It's pulling in the various cells here. So if you just wanted to eliminate some of the keyword columns, you could do that by getting rid of some of these values, or I can help you figure that out. But essentially, filling in these fills in the concatenate template. So we've got cherry roofing in here, roof repairs the topic, we've got keywords down here, and this is all I'm going to do. Copy, come over here. Now I am in Chat GPT 4.5. I'm going to hit paste, go. Now you're here with me live in terms of seeing how long this takes, and we are going to sit here and watch this go. So here, we've got this typing things up, and it's going to sit here in, maybe like 90 seconds, 2 minutes. We'll have a full piece. Even if it takes 5 minutes, this is still a great way to create a rough draft of content. And what you would do is take the completed draft, copy, paste into Google Docs or something like that, and then link that up in the sheet and go through every content piece like that. It is a longer process. It does take time. It is repetitive, but it is so much more streamlined than doing a lot of other things. And if you've got an amazing content team or amazing writer on your team like we do here, they can take this and make this even better and more polished for users, better for SEO, realign tone if that needs to happen, change out some of the common filler things like this day and age, in today's world, some of those common language things that come up in these types of tools. But you can just see here, it's going, right? It's trying to produce the 900 words. Look at this. This looks great. We got some paragraphs of content. It's following my bulleted list structure. I did ask it in the prompt. We'll come over here back to this template. You'll see that it's 900 words, at least 2 bulleted lists, no horizontal lines because it keeps doing that, right? It always wants to add emojis, no emojis. There's a bunch of different things in here. Pull relevant stats for this topic while being careful not to link competitor in here. So that's learned from me having run through this several times. So it's very interesting how all of this can come together. So by going through this process, here, I think it's done. So in like 2 minutes? So going through this process, you can produce 20 pages for your site in an hour or so, right? Copy, paste, link everything up. And then you can hand that off to people with more experience who can produce a higher grade of content for your site. But this saves a lot of time. It saves a lot of digging. It's not going to work for all industries. Like if you're a lawyer, you're subject to HIPAA, FINRA, there's going to be some challenges there, but it still would be fairly effective. And because you're subject to compliance and other things, you do have to consider restrictions and language and stuff like that. So, you have to be thoughtful about how you use these tools. But we've got this whole piece here that we can now copy and put into Docs. So hopefully that makes sense. I'll bring this back up on the screen and leave it here for just a minute. And you can edit that prompt as much as you want. You can duplicate the tab, and there's other complex things you could do to this too that I just didn't have time for. But it's a great way to look at how these tools can be leveraged to support content production needs. Let me just think if there's anything else I wanted to cover on this. I might make another tab in here that's just one keyword so you don't have to play with the formula. If that's something you would like, just let me know. It's pretty straightforward for me to do. So I hope that was helpful. There was a lot of information in there on how to get started. Really appreciate your time. I mean, remember to think about these things as processes and systems can be applied in a lot of ways, right? You can optimize SEO elements at scale. There's headline writing. There's all kinds of stuff. Repurposing emails, taking old email blasts, turning them into a big one, all kinds of stuff. So it's understanding that these tools are here to help you, but they aren't the final result. Like, you have to still put in hard work to get to where you want to go. There's a couple resources on my screen that I think you might find helpful. We are going to share the deck, so you can click on this stuff and check out some of these blogs and whatnot. So I know that we got a few minutes left here. Are there any questions?
I just want to say amazing work, Jason. I know this can be such an overwhelming topic for business owners or people just getting into marketing, or really any industry now is impacted by AI and the evolution, right? So this is just a great crash course into workflows and how to build out systems, and just some great stuff.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot that can go into this. I'm sure for some of us who are here on the Webfor team, we're probably thinking, oh, we didn't, there's this tool and this tool and this tool and this tool and this tool. And there's lots of tools, but fundamentally a great starting point is just ChatGPT if you haven't played with this stuff at all. But like Gemini is Google's AI tool that's getting deployed across their entire workspace. So you can prompt Gemini for content. There's all kinds of options. And this is just one way of doing things, and one process and one workflow that can really help you get started.
Yeah, no, I absolutely love it. I have a question just for, any business owners that are kind of out there and curious. So how do you recommend, for businesses saying, I want to get started? Hey, this is important to me. I'm kind of just starting up, or maybe I want to get more serious about my content production. How do you recommend business owners start? What pillars do they prioritize? How they identify those pillars? Just any tips you have in that space?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, I think for those who have the entrepreneur spirit, we want to say that we can do all the things all the time. The first thing is understanding what your goal is and what you're trying to achieve, then understanding what you can reasonably do on your own, or what's going to require other people to execute on. If you are a grinder and can do the 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. Role of an entrepreneur and execute at scale, then I would advise looking into keywords that you want to target using some different tools for your industry, and start thinking about strategy holistically, as opposed to just throwing every dart possible at a dartboard. Just pick a couple of things and really focus in on that. The biggest danger we put ourselves in is stretching ourselves too thin and saying, I'm going to do a video and a podcast and a blog post followed by 30 social posts, and I'm going to do that every day. It's not going to happen. So narrow the focus, get really good in particular channels before you spread yourself too thin. Starts with strategy.
Awesome. No, I think that's a excellent tip. We do have a question from Tony Hernandez. I'll pop it up on the screen here. So if it's around the pillar content and pulling it from a speech around numbers and statistics, which we know, hallucinations can be a problem, but they are getting better. He's asking about what tools you're using for image generation and graphics around for statistics and dense numbers.
It's a great question. That's a little, so I think there's two things there. There's stats and numbers, which require some manual editing from a graphical standpoint, but I believe every image in this presentation on title cards is AI generated. Most of the images are AI generated. If you didn't catch that, that was an Easter egg. The image you're seeing here is AI generated. The image on the next slide is AI generated. It's all using Gemini inside of Google. So Google has the option to generate images. That's what I've been using you could use Canva and a number of other platforms as well. If you're wanting to have a little bit more control, it's probably better to generate some templates, social templates inside of Canva, and do some of the text work manually. Although there's some complex integration where you can take a spreadsheet of content and import it into Canva to auto-generate all of your social posts based off of your brand templates. So you can do some research on that.
Awesome. Yeah, great tip. And just scanning the message boards and LinkedIn and everything, and looks like we are good to go on Q&A.
Awesome. Well, I really appreciate everyone's time, and I know this is streaming in different places, so it'll be processing and they're available for other folks. And I'm sure we'll share the deck and other resources after the presentation is complete.
Oh, yeah. Yes. Thank you, Jason. That is a wrap on Behind the Curtain. Just want to say huge thanks to you, Jason. Thank you for sharing all your insights and pulling back the layers and what it really takes to build scalable, streamlined content systems. Thank you, everyone, for attending. We're excited to have you at future webinars. Make sure to like, follow, and do all the things we talked about at the beginning of the presentation. We just got to drop that. Thank you for asking great questions and really getting insight into AI, pillar content strategies, and so much more. Looking forward to the next one. Hopefully everyone